It's actually happening. As a brand new report has dropped from one of the most notable reporters in the game, Ken Rosenthal, surrounding Roki Sasaki. He dropped a huge bombshell report that this changes the landscape of free agency if the Jays go ahead and pull this off. We're going to break down this crazy report, discuss what this means going forward, because they have officially met with the superstar. Stay tuned for all that in this episode. But before we get into it, a quick reminder to hit that subscribe button. Thank you all again for allowing us to hit 15,000 subscribers. But we're on the road now to 16,000. So if you want to help us towards that goal, make sure to smash that subscribe button. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a bombshell report to go over today as Ken Rosenthal dropped a piece of information that has everybody shook up a little bit here. And I know after the Shohei Ohtani stuff, the Juan Soto stuff, fans don't want to get their hopes up. I understand that. But ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge report for the Toronto Blue Jays. And I made a video on it a couple days ago, kind of hinting at the fact that it seems like Roki Sasaki has met with the Blue Jays based on Scotty Mitchell's intel. Ken Rosenthal dropped a bomb today. So we'll start with this, and then we'll get into the actual report. This one's from John Morosi. This is very likely the week when we will learn about where Roki Sasaki will pitch in the MLB. Wednesday is the day that he can officially sign. And 2 days before this comes out, this report drops early this morning from Ken Rosenthal. Blue Jays met with Roki Sasaki last week, and we're going to dive into the full article. There's a lot in here. There's also some shade thrown by Ken Rosenthal. But ladies and gentlemen, this is insane because, okay, first of all, I'm not going to get my hopes too high. We've seen this happen before with the Toronto Blue Jays, and things haven't worked out. But the fact, for one, that they even got a meeting with Roki Sasaki is wild. And we know that reports came out last week that there were, half a dozen teams, maybe a bit less than that Roki Sasaki has narrowed his list down to, and then one mystery team. That mystery team, people were debating what it was. No one thought it was going to be Toronto. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Toronto. Toronto was the mystery team. And this is big for a lot of reasons here. And one of the biggest reasons is, and there's a lot of reports to go over today, and we're going to dive into a ton of things, but this right here, this will be the week where we learn Sasaki will pitch. We are 2 days removed from 2 days away, from the day that Roki Sasaki is going to make his decision, and he was just in Toronto for several days, according to sources. Now, we saw this with Shohei Ohtani, and there's a brutal Shohei Ohtani kind of report in here that is very, it comes out 2 years almost later. It's a bit rough, or over a year later. Let's dive into this report. So, the Toronto Blue Jays, a silver medalist for one free agent after another the past 2 off seasons, are trying again. Club officials last week hosted the prized Japanese right-hander Roki Sasaki in Toronto. Sources briefed on the meetings told The Athletic, Sasaki, 23, can sign with a major league club starting Wednesday when the international signing period opens. He is not expected to decide immediately, but he must choose by January 23rd, the deadline for him to sign. The Dodgers, Padres, Rangers, Mariners, Mets, and Cubs are among teams believed to be pursuing him. Jays manager Ross Atkins and Sasaki's agent Joel Wolfe declined to comment. This has me happy. Now, again, is there a chance? Are they the favorites to land Sasaki? Absolutely not. But they are getting these meetings for every one of these big fish. Now, if they come second, doesn't matter. Not really. But when you're talking about players like Roki Sasaki, we know at the start of the process, reports have come out, reports started to percolate, specifically surrounding the fact that Roki Sasaki, one of the things he prized, he's not like a lot of these other free agents that are going for money, because the money doesn't really change too much between, the Jays, the Dodgers, obviously a bit more international spending money. But what this means is that we know that Sasaki wanted somewhere with a bit of quieter media. Now, Mariners, offer that a little bit. The Dodgers don't. The Mets don't, but it's still possible. The Jays would offer a great, the media in Toronto, as we all know, is nowhere near as hard as the media in New York. They all kind of work with each other to make things the easiest, on Rogers and on the front office and on the, managers. But what I'm saying here is that if he wants something like that, and there's been a lot, Yusei Kikuchi, Hyunjin Ryu, all these different guys, if the Jays can pull off Roki Sasaki, then this is absolutely huge for the Blue Jays. And he goes on to say, the Jays do not seem like an obvious fit for Sasaki, who is still maturing as a pitcher and thought to be heavily weighing the quality of a team's pitching development in his decision-making. Now, again, this is written from Ken Rosenthal. He notoriously hates the Blue Jays, writes articles, throwing shade at the Jays all the time. It's brutal, but it is what it is. He's a very good reporter. The last homegrown Jays pitcher to make 30 starts in back-to-back seasons was Marcus Stroman, and he was developed by the previous front office. He's not necessarily wrong here, but when you're talking about the team's pitching development, Pete Walker is, notoriously known, well respected by everybody across the league as one of the best pitching coaches in baseball. They obviously got Alek Manoah, he was a Cy Young finalist. Granted, he started dealing with injuries, started getting the yips a little bit. But when you're Roki Sasaki, they've done a lot better with pitchers, at least when it comes to, Alek Manoah and a couple of others as well, even though they haven't all worked out. You think about Nate Pearson and things like that. But they haven't done, they've done really well with pitchers, arguably better with pitchers than some of their, position players, specifically outfielders. They haven't been able to develop any outfielders. But Sasaki might be drawing on the experience of fellow Japanese players. Left-hander Yusei Kikuchi recently spent 2+ seasons with the Jays after signing with them as a free agent. The Jays then traded Kikuchi. I mean, you think about Kikuchi, you think about Hyunjin Ryu, you think about, going back, there was a lot of different players that they've signed, and I mean, they signed, of course, Shun Yamaguchi as well. I believe I pronounced that right, way back a few years ago. They are notoriously, this could be a perfect fit for the Toronto Blue Jays. And if Sasaki's weighing in on Kikuchi, Yamaguchi, Hyunjin Ryu, all these different guys, it becomes interesting now. And Scotty Mitchell, the one who, predicted this, shout out to him back in December, saying this might percolate for a hot minute, given it'll be mid-January, but the amount I've heard all in when it comes to the Blue Jays and Roki Sasaki is probably a good thing. They have an existing relationship via close people, and it's not crazy to think he may be intrigued by Toronto, the city, and this he just dropped about, 30 minutes ago as the time of recording. Mid-January has arrived, and I expected we'd be here. No one is calling them the favorites at this point, but they've got a horse in the race, spending multiple days in a city, which he just wrapped up recently, so close to when a decision is due is not something he'd do for fun. And this is where things start to get, I'm not going to, fully immerse myself in these rumors and say that the Jays are favorites or any of that. But man, oh man, is this, it gets me a little bit, if they are able to pull this off, we know they almost had Corbin Burns. Reports came out that they were very much in on Corbin Burns. And now if they can go out and get, if they get Roki Sasaki, the offseason is safe for me personally. It would be one of the most exciting signings that we've ever seen as Toronto Blue Jays fans. From Rob Wong here, I know we all like to joke about the Jays talking to big name free agents and never landing them, but I would still say Roki Sasaki and getting to meet with Roki Sasaki in Toronto is still impressive. It is in Toronto, keep in mind. They didn't fly to him and gave some half, baked meeting. He came to Toronto. Obviously, across the country, changing countries depending on where he, resides, and they got to do it. And again, he's probably going to decide late this week, and we're going to keep you up to date with it. But this dropped this morning. It is a bombshell report. There's no doubt about it. And this, it could change the landscape of the Toronto Blue Jays offseason, because if they're somehow able to pull this off, not only are they going to be able to, regain some of the fan base's happiness, their team is going to be a hell of a lot better as well. And things are getting very interesting for the Jays, ladies and gentlemen, and this is big. Again, I didn't expect to wake up to this. We had a video a couple days ago talking about how I was kind of, insinuating that Scotty Mitchell seemed to be poking at the fact that they met with the Blue Jays and that they were the mystery team in the Roki Sasaki sweepstakes. He was right, and the video aged well. Here we are now, 2 days away from the big decision day. And the Jays are the mystery team. The Jays are all in on Roki Sasaki. So, ladies and gentlemen, buckle up. I know, the Jays always finish second. We're used to that. We're accustomed to that. Will it happen? There's a good chance that it doesn't happen, but they're not favorites at this point. But things change quickly. And when it's coming to free agents, if there was going to be a free agent that the Jays get, it would be one similar to Roki Sasaki, where the money doesn't matter as much, even though the Jays have been willing to give out money. Hopefully, the Jays can pull this one off and save the fan base. So let me know down below what your thoughts are on this. We're going to keep you up to date with all the latest news, because things are coming out like crazy. As more news drops, we will continue to keep you posted. So make sure to hit that subscribe button. Let me know down below what your thoughts are. And let's hope and pray the Jays can save the offseason and save the turmoil from all of the misses that they've had and save it with Roki Sasaki.